Hello everyone, greetings everyone. I'm George from Ireland, so here I am on a ferry across the Mersey, speaking very close to it so the wind doesn't carry my voice away. I don't have my microphone thing. So that's the Liverpool side. You see a bit of a wind farm there, and some huge warehouses over there. And one of these, the largest brick building ever built, was a tobacco warehouse for ages, and some of them been turned into luxury flats. And Everton football team is moving their stadium over here. A new stadium will be built at a cost of £500 million. The River Mersey, that's go out to the open sea. You see the tugboat, or is it a pilot boat, heading out towards Ireland. There's a Stena line ferry beyond. You see those huge red cranes for unloading cargo from ships. And then this side, which is the west bank of the River Mersey, that's Birkenhead, this town. There are 2 tunnels under the River Mersey connecting Liverpool to Birkenhead. And so Birkenhead's on a peninsula called the Wirral, and beyond the Wirral, you can't see it, is Wales. So not very far from Wales, like sort of 30 miles as the crow flies, or something like that. So anyway, so you're seeing Birkenhead all up and down that side. I'll show you the Liverpool side again. So this is just a brief pleasure cruise, highly recommended, only costing £11 to go for 50 minutes. Yes, and there are lavatoria aboard. What else? Oh, I see those huge tanks, what do you call them, drums for various liquids, oil and whatnot. So this Liverpool was built in the late 12th century, was first noted, and then became a borough quite soon. A fishing village built up into quite a significant port, and then really started to boom from the early 18th century, 1710. The world's first wet dock was built by the corporation, as in the city council, and it was very much involved in transatlantic trade, and indeed the trade in human beings. So a lot of Liverpool ships set sail for West Africa, and when African kingdoms fought against each other, the vanquished were often taken into servitude and sold to white sailors, or pirates perhaps you should call them, from England, France, Spain, Portugal, so forth, and these people were taken across the ocean in horrific conditions to toil in the new world. Okay, so I'll back to Birkenhead, what she's showing us, and this big funnel thing, that's ventilation for a tower, so I've heard. Anyway, Mersey ferries can come in here. So I was listening to that song earlier by Gerry and the Pacemakers, a celebrated musician from Liverpool, Take the Ferry Across the Mersey. Anything else? It seems somewhat unremarkable, Birkenhead, famous as the birthplace of F.E. Smith, the Earl of Birkenhead, that well-known jurist and Conservative politician back in the days when Merseyside produced Conservative MPs. Well, it's got Stephen Norris and Edwina Currie. All right, what else over here? About Tranmere Rovers, the football team from over here, from Birkenhead. Anything else to tell you? Don't think so. Okay, then we're going up to Camel Laird's, which certainly was a Royal Naval Dockyard. Brendan Behan, when he came over here in 1939, his intention was to blow it up, but he was arrested very quickly. How did the Criminal Investigation Department pick him up within hours of landing in England? I suppose there must have been informants to tip them off. They knew exactly where to find him. Anything else you might want to know? Perhaps not.
We're seen as far too big a risk.
So there's no bridge across the Mersey, not for much further down. Warrington is on the river, much further down. There's a canal connected to Manchester.
Because 300 years ago it was cut off from the rest of the Wirral by the Walsey Pool on one side and the swamp of Bidston Moss on the other.
Perhaps not.
It was an
Here the
isolated,
commentary.
dangerous place, prone to sudden mists and quicksand, and best negotiated only by the few.
So I'll show you how this huge, look at this huge pleasure cruiser. How about that? 300 metres long.
Which stood by the shore.
Okay, so you can dock there, and over 100,000 tourists a year arrive by these huge cruisers.
The building was actually built.
Look, they've got a flume at the top on the back, as in a slide.
To the left of the town hall, and behind
And
the
look at all their
is a red brick building with a glass
lifeboats. One of them's
conservatory.
partly lowered.
This is Gillingham Baths.
And then here's
opened
the
in
iconic
1908.
entrance to
Some
Liverpool.
say
You can
that
see the
name
Liver
comes from a
building
bag
and
of
so on,
Billings
the
washed up on
Cunard
the
building,
shore here.
the this building with the dome on the right, that was originally the design for the Catholic Cathedral, was rejected. Now Paddy's Wigwam, the Catholic Cathedral. And that was by Sir Edwin Lutyens, so I don't think he lived to see it built. And then Museum of Liverpool, various Museum of Slavery and so forth, the Beatles experience. Famously when Richard and Judy used to present their show on those docks in there with the two islands. For Ireland and Great Britain, moored to the seabed, and their presenter, former geography teacher, jumping from one to the other. He famously once fell in while jumping from the islands whilst doing the weather forecast, and a nudist came out and mooned him there once. And you see a bit of, you can see on the skyline the huge Anglican cathedral, only completed in the 70s after about 60 years. And then the big Ferris wheel. Okay,
it will also be the home of
River
Mersey, a new science and discovery centre.
I'll show you Birkenhead again.
Young people and families, and
anyway, well, I have to keep on going. I've got to have it just over 8 minutes to monetize it, you see.
Look out for the large bell at the landing stage, used before
so a landing stage is like up here.
For the ferry in fog.
Right.
In fact, radar was installed in 1947.
I think bells would help. Oh, and there's a huge high radio tower in the centre of Liverpool. Do you see the radio tower? There it is.
Was created by
above my finger there.
William Carson. In 1863,
doesn't feel very windy, but I see the windsock. You see the orange windsock is billowing out.
Much criticism, with predictions that the first storms of winter would carry the landing stage.
It's actually a fairly warm day, though. I had to put this on, but it's a bit cloudy. Looked quite a bit of cloud cover. It was very rainy yesterday, so I could smell the seaweed at the salt wind. But there's some sandbars. They've got to be careful. It's not safe for them to sail everywhere. Fine town clock. I saw lots of memorials to sailors from Liverpool and other places like Belgium who were killed in the Second World War. Some of them in the Royal Navy, some of them merchant sailors. Obviously they had to sail across the Atlantic to bring in the means of life and just military equipment, but often they were sent to the bottom by the Luftwaffe. So many of them have no known grave, but Davy Jones's locker. I don't know what the origin of that expression is. Anything else? Yeah, so Liverpool's got its own metro system. Not many cities in the United Kingdom have got their own underground railway system. Obviously there's London, Glasgow, Liverpool, and I can't think of any others. So Manchester's got some kind of a metro, so that's all overground, isn't it? And Glasgow's got, well, sorry, I mentioned Glasgow. Trams are different, like Manchester's got a tram as well, Leeds, and I can't think where else. That's it, really. Okay, so coming over to Birkenhead, and then we should be going back to Liverpool on this side again. Well worth it. Maybe 50 minutes. Well, I can't afford to be late because I got to get on Skype for a certain hour tonight. So make sure you subscribe to my channel. Do pay a visit to Liverpool. Choose me as your tour guide. Not that I'm in Liverpool most of the time. So and donate to me on PayPal. It's georgecallahan79@gmail.com. That's all small letters. Callahan spelled CALLAGHAN. Bye.